Y'all ever heard of a garden that practically takes care of itself? Well, that's the magic of Hugelkultur. Imagine a garden bed so fertile, so full of life, that your plants thrive like never before. It's all about working with nature, not against it, to create a garden that's both bountiful and beautiful. Hugelkultur is all about building up your garden beds with layers of organic matter, like a compost pile, but right there in your garden. This creates a haven for beneficial critters and microorganisms that work tirelessly to nourish your plants. The best part? It's good for the planet too. By using up yard waste and kitchen scraps, Hugelkultur helps reduce waste and promote a healthier environment. Now you might be thinking, sounds complicated, but don't you worry, it's simpler than you might think. Now you might be wondering, where did this Hugelkultur thing come from? Well, it's got a long and fascinating history, going back centuries. Imagine this: picturesque European countryside, rolling hills dotted with charming villages. These folks, they understood the rhythm of nature, the give and take between the soil, the plants, and the creatures that call it home. They knew that by mimicking nature's processes, they could create gardens that were both productive and sustainable. It's about harnessing the power of decomposition, the slow and steady breakdown of organic matter that releases nutrients into the soil. This time-tested technique, passed down through the ages, wasn't just about growing food, it was about building a legacy of stewardship, of caring for the land for generations to come. So what makes Hugelkultur so special? Well, let me tell you, it's like giving your garden a superpower boost. It's all about creating a thriving ecosystem right there in your backyard, where beneficial bacteria, fungi, and earthworms work their magic. These tiny helpers break down the organic matter, releasing a slow and steady supply of nutrients directly to your plant's roots. Hugelkultur also acts like a sponge, soaking up rainwater and holding onto it like a precious treasure. This means less watering for you and happier, healthier plants that don't have to worry about dry spells. Now picture yourself journeying back in time to the heart of Europe centuries ago. Life was different then, closer to the land, you see. Folks lived and breathed the rhythms of nature, depending on it for their very survival. In those days, Hugelkultur wasn't just a gardening fad. It was a way of life, passed down through generations like a precious heirloom. Families would gather round, sharing stories of bountiful harvests and fertile gardens, their voices filled with the wisdom of the ages. They'd whisper secrets of the soil, of how to coax life from even the most stubborn patches of earth. Imagine children, their eyes wide with wonder, listening intently as their grandparents taught them the art of building these magical mounds of earth. Each layer, carefully placed, held the promise of sustenance and abundance. Hugelkultur wasn't just confined to one corner of Europe. Oh no, it spread its roots far and wide, woven into the very fabric of rural life. From the rolling hills of Germany to the sun-drenched slopes of Eastern Europe, folks discovered the magic of these mounded gardens. Each region, with its unique climate and soil, embraced Hugelkultur, adapting it to their own needs and traditions. Imagine sturdy German farmers, their hands calloused from years of toil, meticulously layering logs and branches into their Hugelkultur beds. Meanwhile, in the east, resourceful villagers crafted their Hugelkultur beds with whatever materials they could find: stones, clay pots, even old thatched roofs, each layer telling a story of resilience and ingenuity. Hugelkultur became a symbol of community, a testament to the power of collective wisdom passed down through generations. It was a reminder that even in the face of hardship, nature always provided, as long as you knew how to listen. Now you might be thinking, why go through all that trouble building up these mounds instead of just planting straight into the ground? Well, back then, resources were precious, and folks had to be resourceful. Hugelkultur wasn't just a gardening method, it was a stroke of genius, a way to overcome challenges and transform limitations into opportunities. Imagine trying to grow food in areas with poor soil, rocky terrain, or limited water. Hugelkultur came to the rescue, creating fertile oases in the most unforgiving landscapes. The decomposing wood inside, it released nutrients slowly, like a time-released fertilizer, nourishing the plants from within. It was innovation born from necessity, a testament to the human spirit's ability to adapt, overcome, and thrive even in the face of adversity. Now, centuries later, we're rediscovering the brilliance of these ancient practices. In a world grappling with climate change and environmental degradation, Hugelkultur emerges as a beacon of hope, a reminder that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. It's a testament to the enduring wisdom of our ancestors, who understood that working with nature, not against it, is the key to a sustainable future. By using up yard waste and organic materials that would otherwise end up in landfills, we're closing the loop, returning nutrients to the soil, and reducing our ecological footprint. It's about more than just growing food. It's about rekindling our connection to the earth, honoring the legacy of those who came before us, and creating a more sustainable and resilient future for generations to come. Hugelkultur is a reminder that the answers to our modern-day challenges often lie in the time-tested wisdom of the past. Now let's talk about what makes Hugelkultur so special for your garden. Imagine this: beneath the surface, a hidden world teeming with life, working tirelessly to nourish your plants. That's the magic of Hugelkultur, y'all. It's like a secret underground feast for your fruits and veggies. You see, those layers of wood and organic matter, they ain't just sitting there. They're like tiny chefs, transforming that wood into a gourmet meal for your plants. And just like a slow cooker, Hugelkultur releases those nutrients gradually over time. No more feast or famine cycles, just consistent, natural nourishment that makes your garden sing. Now, we all know how precious water is, especially for us gardeners. Well, Hugelkultur, it's like having a secret weapon against drought. Those mounds, they act like giant sponges, soaking up rainwater and holding onto it for dear life. When rain falls on bare ground, it tends to run off, carrying away precious topsoil. But with Hugelkultur, that water seeps deep down into those layers of organic matter, where it's stored like a treasure. This means less watering for you folks. That's right, Hugelkultur can actually reduce your water usage, saving you time, effort, and precious resources. Now, y'all know I'm all about making the most of what we got. And that's another thing I love about Hugelkultur. It's like turning trash into treasure. Instead of sending yard waste and kitchen scraps to the landfill, we can use them to build up our gardens. Think about it. All those fallen leaves, grass clippings, veggie scraps, they're chock full of nutrients just waiting to be unlocked. With Hugelkultur, we're closing the loop, recycling those precious resources and giving them a second life in our gardens. It's a win-win for us and for Mother Earth. Now let's talk about the critters, those unseen heroes of the garden. Hugelkultur, it's like creating a 5-star hotel for all the beneficial insects, earthworms, and microorganisms that make a garden thrive. With its loose, airy structure and abundance of organic matter, a Hugelkultur bed is a haven for these tiny helpers. Imagine earthworms tunneling through those layers, improving soil structure and aeration as they go. Think about beneficial bacteria and fungi breaking down organic matter, releasing nutrients in a form that plants can easily absorb. A healthy population of beneficial organisms helps keep pests and diseases in check naturally. Now here's the thing about Hugelkultur, it just keeps on giving year after year. As those layers of organic matter decompose, they create a rich, fertile soil that improves over time. Unlike conventional raised beds, which can deplete the soil over time, Hugelkultur actually builds soil fertility year after year. That means less need for synthetic fertilizers and amendments. Just imagine, a garden that practically takes care of itself, providing you with an abundance of fresh, healthy food year after year. It's a self-sustaining system that mimics the natural processes of a forest floor. All right, y'all, ready to get your hands dirty and build your very own Hugelkultur bed? It's easier than you might think, and trust me, it's going to be a rewarding experience. First things first, let's find the perfect spot for your Hugelkultur masterpiece. You'll want a location that gets plenty of sunshine, at least 6 good hours a day, to keep those plants happy and photosynthesizing. Now, when it comes to size and shape, the sky's the limit. You can go big or small, rectangular, or even curvy. It's all up to you and your garden space. Once you've got your location picked out, it's time to gather your materials. Think of it like a treasure hunt, but instead of gold and jewels, we're after wood, leaves, and other organic goodies. Start by scrounging up some wood, logs, branches, twigs, whatever you can get your hands on. The more rotten, the better, they say. That's because decomposing wood is like a magnet for beneficial organisms, and it's going to break down over time, releasing nutrients into your soil. Now comes the fun part, building up your Hugelkultur bed. Start by laying down a layer of those woody treasures you gathered. Think of it like the foundation of your Hugelkultur house. Place the biggest logs and branches at the bottom, then gradually layer smaller pieces on top, like you're building a log cabin for those beneficial critters. As you're stacking that wood, make sure to leave some spaces between the pieces. This allows for air circulation, which is crucial for decomposition. If you happen to have any nitrogen-rich materials on hand, like grass clippings, kitchen scraps, or aged manure, sprinkle some in between those layers of wood. This will help kickstart the decomposition process and provide an extra boost of nutrients for your plants. With your woody foundation in place, it's time to add some variety to your Hugelkultur masterpiece. Think of it like baking a layer cake, but instead of flour and sugar, we're using nature's finest ingredients. Next up, add a layer of leaves, straw, or other dry, carbon-rich materials. This layer acts like a sponge, soaking up excess moisture and preventing your Hugelkultur bed from drying out too quickly. Now, for a touch of nitrogen-rich goodness, sprinkle on a layer of compost, aged manure, or grass clippings. As you build up those layers, keep in mind that a good Hugelkultur bed should be at least 2 feet tall, but you can go even higher if you'd like. And remember to water each layer thoroughly as you go, helping to settle those materials and create a happy home for those beneficial critters. All right, y'all, we're in the home stretch. With your layers all stacked up, it's time to top off your Hugelkultur bed with a layer of good quality topsoil. This is where your plant's roots are going to spend most of their time, so it's important to choose a soil that's loose, well-drained, and rich in organic matter. If you've got some compost on hand, you can mix that in with your topsoil to give it an extra boost of nutrients. Once you've got your topsoil spread out evenly, give it a good soak with the hose, making sure to water deeply so that moisture reaches all the way down to those bottom layers. And that's it. Your Hugelkultur bed is officially ready for planting. Now, before you go planting everything in sight, there's one more thing to keep in mind. Because Hugelkultur beds are full of decomposing organic matter, they tend to generate a bit of heat as those materials break down. This is actually a good thing, as it can help warm up the soil in the spring and extend your growing season. However, it's important to let your Hugelkultur bed cure for a few weeks before planting directly into it. This allows the decomposition process to get going and the heat to subside a bit, preventing any potential damage to your tender seedlings. In the meantime, you can start some seeds indoors or in a separate nursery bed. Once your Hugelkultur bed has had a chance to cure, you can transplant your seedlings or sow seeds directly into the rich, fertile soil. And then, y'all, just sit back, relax, and watch your garden thrive. Now, for a while, it seemed like Hugelkultur had faded into the background, like a whisper from a bygone era. The world got caught up in newfangled ways of doing things, you see, with fancy fertilizers and mass-produced food. But something special like Hugelkultur, well, it never truly disappears. It just waits patiently, like a seed dormant in the soil, ready to sprout anew when the time is right. And you know what? It seems like that time is now. Folks are starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, those old-timers were onto something. With all the talk about climate change, sustainability, and getting back to our roots, Hugelkultur is experiencing a revival, a resurgence of interest from folks all over the world. It's like we're rediscovering a lost treasure, a gift from our ancestors who understood the importance of working with nature, not against her. And in a world hungry for sustainable solutions, Hugelkultur offers a beacon of hope, a reminder that sometimes the old ways are the best ways. Now, you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but does Hugelkultur really have a place in our modern world? And the answer, my friends, is a resounding yes. In fact, Hugelkultur is more relevant today than ever before. Just think about the challenges we're facing: climate change, soil degradation, water scarcity, and the ever-growing piles of waste in our landfills. Hugelkultur addresses all of these issues head-on. By sequestering carbon in the soil, it helps mitigate climate change. By building soil fertility and improving water retention, it makes our gardens more resilient in the face of drought. And by providing a use for yard waste and other organic materials, it helps us reduce our impact on the environment. It's a sustainable solution that's as practical as it is effective, and it's adaptable to a wide range of settings, from small urban gardens to large-scale farms. So, whether you're a seasoned gardener or just starting out, Hugelkultur has something to offer everyone. Section 3. Adapting to the times. Now, just like any good recipe, Hugelkultur has evolved over the years, adapting to different climates, cultures, and available materials. That's the beauty of it, y'all. It's not a rigid set of rules, but a flexible framework that can be tailored to fit your unique needs and circumstances. Take, for instance, folks living in arid regions, where water is scarce. They've adapted Hugelkultur by incorporating techniques like water harvesting and mulching to conserve every precious drop. And in urban environments where space is limited, folks are getting creative, building Hugelkultur beds in raised containers, on rooftops, even vertically along walls. The possibilities are endless, and with each adaptation, Hugelkultur proves its versatility and resilience, showing us that even in the face of change, we can always find ways to work with nature to create a more abundant and sustainable future. Section 4. A Global Garden United. Now here's something truly special about Hugelkultur. It's bringing folks together from all walks of life all over the world. From community gardens in bustling cities to permaculture farms in remote villages, Hugelkultur is sparking a global conversation about sustainable living and reconnecting with the earth. It's a shared language that transcends borders, cultures, and languages. And through this shared passion for Hugelkultur, we're learning from each other, sharing knowledge, and building a more connected and resilient world, one garden bed at a time. It's a beautiful thing to witness, this global community of Hugelkultur enthusiasts, united by their love for the earth and their desire to create a more sustainable future. And it's a reminder that even in a world often divided, we can always find common ground in our shared humanity and our connection to the natural world. Hugelkultur is more than just a gardening technique, you see. It's a movement, a way of life, and it's just getting started. Section 1. Reap what you sow naturally. Well, y'all, we've covered a whole heap about Hugelkultur, from its ancient roots to its modern-day revival. We've dug deep into the science behind it, explored its countless benefits, and even learned how to build our very own Hugelkultur beds. But at its heart, Hugelkultur is more than just a gardening technique. It's a philosophy, a way of life that reminds us to slow down, listen to nature, and work in harmony with her rhythms. It's about understanding that the garden ain't just a place to grow food, It's a living, breathing ecosystem, full of interconnected life forms working together in perfect harmony. And when we treat our gardens with that kind of respect and reverence, well, the rewards are bountiful, both for us and for the planet. So as you embark on your own Hugelkultur journey, remember that it's not about perfection, but about progress. Don't be afraid to experiment, to adapt, and to learn from your mistakes. Embrace the process, enjoy the journey, and watch in amazement as your garden transforms into a thriving oasis of abundance. Section 2. Hugelkultur for everyone. Now, some folks might think Hugelkultur is only for those with acres of land and plenty of time on their hands. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Whether you've got a sprawling backyard, a sunny balcony, or just a single windowsill, there's a way to incorporate the magic of Hugelkultur into your life. For those just starting out, why not try building a small Hugelkultur bed in a raised container? It's a great way to experience the benefits of this method without committing to a large-scale project. And for the more adventurous souls, the possibilities are truly endless. Imagine Hugelkultur spirals gracing your backyard, Hugelkultur mounds tucked into your flower beds, even Hugelkultur planters overflowing with herbs and vegetables on your patio. Hugelkultur is for everyone, y'all, regardless of your experience level, your garden space, or your budget. It's a way to connect with nature, grow your own food, and create a more sustainable and resilient future. One seed, one log, one Hugelkultur bed at a time. So go on, get out there, and start building your own Hugelkultur masterpiece. Mother Earth and your garden will thank you.